sitting on the side. It's an horizontal place now across all industries. So anything that you want to grow and anything you want to make to the next level is something very much dependent on the IT. Uh, Asif, I have other questions that are prepared, but now I will take a totally different tone on that very front. कुछ चीज़ें हम लोग शुरू से सुनते चले आए हैं और हम ये सुनते चले आए हैं कि पाकिस्तान के पास सबसे बड़ा एसेट उसकी ह्यूमन रिसोर्स है और मैं ये गुज़श्ता 20 साल से सुन रहा हूँ। मैं ये भी सुन रहा हूँ कि इंडस्ट्री और एकेडेमिया का आपस में बहुत गहरा ताल्लुक होना चाहिए और ये टर्म जो है बहुत देर से यूज और मिसयूज भी हुई चली जा रही है। एंड नाउ व्हेन वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट पाकिस्तान पॉपुलेशन रीचिंग टू around 450 million by 2047 and we are talking about how we have to do the exports and IT becomes one of the main pillars over here. What is the aim? We know. Where are we standing today? And then I will take the discussion forward, what is required to reach that state. But let's lay the foundation first. Where are we standing today for this aim that everybody is looking at?
First of all, thank you, Saquib. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Good afternoon. Yes, he rightly said, after the lunch, we need to pull it through. I think, first of all, where we stand is we, as you rightly said, I think quality of talent is present for sure. I think we have no doubt wherever we have groomed people, hired people, and because we export, right? So we compete with the global firms across from North America to Middle East, and we see there is no significant difference of quality, right? So wherever we present and competitor present, it's not like day and night difference, and we can't compete with them, right? So now it comes to the quantity and where we are. So of course, we are producing graduates every year, and you just pointed out, but I think our graduates further need training post-graduate as well, right? Not every institute, I would say, except like 3-4 institutes, which is probably producing like 2,000 odd people, or 2 to 3,000, you can say, but remaining graduates even require like a considerable hand-holding, and that's not a problem. I think industry can do that. But and from export perspective, if you ask the industry, the talent is we have the talent, but it's not enough to cultivate, because there is a lot of people moved in the last few years from Pakistan as well, and of course we are not replenishing that talent quickly to experienced talent. It's not like getting fresh graduate and getting them to the experience level. That's what is required and what is needed for Pakistan. And for any industry, you need experience, right? And without experience, that's growth is definitely difficult. So as you highlighted, the academia relationship and industry relationship, it's happening. I'm not saying but it's, if you say that, are we deep into like curriculum design in all the universities and HECs and other stuff? But more in today's world, I'm not saying that even if you don't have the computer science degree, right? This is not the bottleneck. It's industry academy relationship is not the bottleneck, right? Now, bottleneck is the willingness of the people and attitude are their primary education to secondary education or O-level, A-level, whatever they do. Did they develop any critical thinking capability? Did they develop any analytical capability? Do they have any math, not just doing the math, but any application for it? They have any understanding of it, right? Because in today's world, learning IT out, it's not crazy difficult with whatever is out there for us. It's not like that, okay, industry and academia collaboration happens, then we will get the best people. Now you can produce people in masses on certain skill set if you have the strong foundation. So Pakistan, what we need now, since you just, or you want me to wait for that?
No, I will just touch this point first, and I will try to break the problem into different parts. We need to increase the IT exports.
Definitely.
We need to have the skillful resources sitting in Pakistan to have that one. In order to have that skillful resource, we are talking about there is an industry-academia relationship that exists a little bit, but it is not that perfect that gives them the required output. Mm-hmm. Whose responsibility is to have that resource getting skillful and what is the role the private sector and the public sector can play, both of them taking their respective responsibility to make that resource skillful?
I think what we need to do is it's a very important subject is we don't have quality teaching and quantity as well for teachers available in our institutes. I'm not talking about 3-4 universities which produce 500 to 1,000 or 2,000 people maximum. If we are talking about masses, then we don't have the faculty that is available. So what we need to do, this is a problem statement, right? We as an industry, we are going, and I request and urge all the industry players that they need to send their mentors or experienced people and teachers and so on and so forth and figure out the practical aspect and the mentorship and the projects that they do and give the internship to the graduates while they are in the final year and so on and so forth. So that's what is required from industry, right? How can government play a role? Of course, allowing remote courses, like bringing online education more. HEC still doesn't accept and give the credit, because if the faculty is not there, what alternative we have? We can approach professors globally who can teach online courses, and they should allow that in today's world, because these professors are not going to fly into Pakistan just for that one semester or whatever if they don't see the career. But online education we have to promote and more, which that government has to bridge. HEC basically, that's how they can allow further and make sure that these policies are there, that we can augment resources, and how can we incentivize more people, send more people abroad from the teachers and for their foreign training, and make the train-the-trainer model more scalable. That's a government, that's definitely we can't do it as a private sector, because it requires infrastructure, it requires scalable work, right? So train-the-trainer model, allowing online from the government side, and from our perspective, industry perspective, giving more and more internship and getting more and more involvement in teaching practical aspect of the equation, and also offering a mentorship. So these are the few practical solutions, both public and private. That's my humble request from our private sector. Of course, we have to do it, but public sector, I think that is the must, because that's where you can scale, right? And private sector can do as much as you can, but public sector, you can have a lever to scale, and that's what they should do.
Asif, I will still come up with a question, because I have been part of many forums where this discussion of skill and getting this labor skilled has been there. Yes, I understand that the public sector has to do its role, but we have an example of Khan Academy, a totally private institution. They are not providing degrees, but they are providing skills. We have doctors who are able to make Shaukat Khanum Hospital by providing to the cancer research. Why there is no private sector that has come up till now with this enablement of either teachers or regular students, where they say, this is the skill that is required by this industry, this is how we will do it. Why we push it towards the university?
No, but this is already there. Why we reinvent the wheel? Like global, if we are not living just in Pakistan. With this era, it's a global village, right? So all these curriculums, all these boot camps, all of these universities have these online courses available, right? They have already done it. There are professors available on the boot camps available. They can do remote training, and they can facilitate the team, the trainer as well. Private, of course, if you ask industry, they are focused on hiring and producing the people and selling the supply and so on and so forth. So they are doing whatever they can. But I think unless and until we leverage these global players who are expert in this and use them for now to train the trainer model and things that is going to create an immediate effect. Because if we try to do our own courses, we do that, right? But can we do it at the scale and masters that they have achieved for over decades of going through that curriculum, going through that certifications? Their certification has a value. Like as you mentioned, Khan Academy, their certification, they teach a skill and it's a value, right? So if you say that I'm doing a Stanford course of AI and it's a track and I've completed it online even, it has a credibility, right? If you say that we had just created like out of blue the course, and this is my skill, it will not have a credibility when you sell this to outside world, because in export, we have to sell our resources to outside world. So if you don't have the degree, then they need a credibility. Who has trained the skill? Khan Academy has built that brand and credibility over many years. It's not like if somebody else can even come up with a Khan Academy replacement today from Pakistan, will they get that kind of a brand recognition? Will they get that kind of a students enrollment, which they have because they have learned from the students, they have learned from the feedback, and that learning is invaluable. And I think since we need intervention quickly. We don't have time to reinvent the wheel for everything, because otherwise it will take more time, and we don't have time. Time is the only thing that we don't have if we need to increase our exports, or if we need to do anything, we need to disrupt. Whatever is need to be done, like it has to be done immediately.
Thank you very much, Asif, and I'll come back on this track. I'm not going to leave it because this is the core that we are trying to achieve. The things are coming to you over here. Our neighbor, India, I was checking the reports, they did IT exports of nearly 199 billion last year. 199 billion only IT exports. In Pakistan, we are talking about less than 1 billion over here. You are running, and we are talking about having the call centers over here. We are talking about the big multinational companies bringing the development center here. We are talking about that the services development center should be made out of Pakistan as well. You are running this program. First of all, tell us where are we standing, and what is required to expand this to reach to a certain level of IT exports that we are looking at.
So I think I'll touch on the BPO side of the industry, and that's an exciting industry actually. And it's been the last, at least post-COVID, you've seen a real burst of growth, and I'll sort of talk about why that has happened. But just in a nutshell, issue ye hai कि when you talk about BPOs or back offices, these are critical operations of large companies. You cannot be down, right? For example, the general KPI that you have to maintain is 99.99% uptime in a year, which is 1 hour a month, right? And the perception which is there, particularly in the US and other places which buy these services, is that Pakistan is an unstable country. Kabhi strike hai, to kabhi ye hai, to kabhi wo hai. How will you be up, for 99.99%? I remember a case, just about 5-8 years ago, where we had a large bank, one of the largest banks in Europe, who actually wanted to do a BOT model, and they wanted to set up a back office operations in collaboration with us. And even went to India. They had set up their own captive centers in India, and and that was the hurdle, right? And then we kind of give them a report actually, which we compared our call centers in Pakistan versus our call centers in the Philippines. And Philippines had more downtime because of natural disasters, typhoons, and all those things than Pakistan did, right? But the perception was such that eventually, when it went to their customers, which was the regional heads of the various geographies, they kind of said, "No, we are not going to outsource to Pakistan." So it is an issue with perception, right? Now that has changed a little bit, and I'll tell you why it changed, and why the industry is going through a little bit of a renaissance in terms of exports. If I talk before COVID, at least in BPO, we had about close to 1,000 people. Exports were no more than $15-ish million. And then COVID happened. When COVID happened, the entire world shut down. Pakistan was relatively less affected, and you have all these retail customers. Everything went online. So the BPO became a very critical component of service, because you had the telecoms, which are growing. You had e-commerce companies. We needed their customers to be serviced, and you didn't have support centers. India was shut. Philippines was shut. So companies like ours, which have operations in other countries, a lot of our customers came back to us and said, "What have you got which is open?" I said, "Pakistan khula hai, agar aap interested hain." And that's how we started, right? So they said, "Okay, we will give you work in Pakistan for a little bit of time. Once COVID is done, we will move this work back." And then, that's been about 4 years. We took that, 1,000, we're at 8,000 now. So we have taken that business pre-COVID to post-COVID, and we're growing. And now we have the world's largest brands, which have hundreds and thousands of seats across the border that we are working with. So it's an exciting time for BPO. In spite of, we can touch on technology disruption and all that later, but it is an exciting time. We don't have, in terms of skill requirements, we need people who can speak in English, speak, write, read English, who are computer literate, and that's a huge population, right? The average employee of ours does not speak English better than the average Filipino or the average Indian. The only advantage we have is they have, in the Philippines, there's 2 million people who work in this industry, 50 billion of exports in BPO. India, similar examples. We have less than 50,000 people. The industry is non-existent, right? So the opportunity, at least to us, it seems to be fairly exciting, right? And if we can, kind of get through some of these issues, a lot of our issues are kind of self-inflicted. Internet ki main baat karunga, halaki internet ke andar, it has not affected, honestly, the large companies like ours. We have virtual private networks, we have IPs which are whitelisted with the PTA. So the impact on us has not been, but the negative perception it has created is far larger, right? And clients are coming back to Asif and to me and they're saying, okay, how can we work in your country? You don't have reliable internet infrastructure. So a lot of the issues are around perception. They're around sort of self-inflicting, right? We have to, वो बात वही आ जाती है कि brand Pakistan, right? And how do you kind of, create that? Once customers, cross that hurdle, they are here, they start working, they realize that the cost and quality, comparative as compared to other markets is far better, far, far better. I mean, I cannot even tell you how amazing the results have been from the same clients. And we compete with global vendors we work with. We see the results, and we're on the top of the charts as far as Pakistan is concerned. So there is an opportunity. I think, we can grow. BPO is an industry that does not require a huge, deep skill set. It can, and there is a demand. In spite of artificial intelligence, in spite of how things will shape out, the industry is huge. I mean, in our industry, you're talking about 40 million seats. That's like about, over $1 trillion of revenue, right? In terms of market size. So it's huge. So rather than sort of talking about AI and the disruption, yes, there will be disruption. Some of the industry will move to AI. There's still a huge opportunity. The cost quality comparative of Pakistan is great. If we do not sort of indulge in this, self-flagellation, as I say, we can build this industry, we can create the competence, and we can grow. So we are very hopeful that the next few years will be good, but we'll see how it goes.
No, thank you very much. I think you touched a very important point, and that is about perception. We all know in UAE, we have a Ministry of Happiness. They want their people to be more happy. I think we really need this Ministry of Perception, because I think one of the major issues for us, and that is across all industry, is our perception. And that perception hits. I tell you the example that you gave, I give you my example. So when in the last 2 years, when the money was not going out of Pakistan, so my company was saying, why we are doing business over here? You are increasing my AR, there is nothing coming out. So I came up with an idea towards them, no problem, your money is not going out. So let's build a service delivery center over here. So the money can be utilized, we can do low cost resources over here. And to be honest, that idea worked over here. But again, the perception got a hit when the internet dropped and they said, how will we run the service delivery center when the internet will not work? So I think this perception topic is the key. We have been saying from my CNN Times, Malaysia, truly Asia, we have been saying incredible India. We need to bring our own brand on the table, because what are the biggest exports that we have, and the exports that we can do is IT exports. So very well put on that very front. Nadeem sir, coming back to you, you told the dream about increasing, going from 1 to 8. Why not from 1 to 100? What stops us of not seeing the dream more big?
I think, so several things, once we talk, so the basic building blocks of at least our side of the sector, right? Once we get over some of these problems, then the infrastructure issues we have to tackle with, in terms of IT, we need large amounts of spaces and we need them relatively cheap, and you look at the major cities, KLI, where most of the educated populations reside, there is really, infrastructure really lacks. Real estate rentals, dekh lein, where they stand and so on and so forth. So obviously, those things kind of play a factor. Internet, I just talked about. Achha, internet may issue, it's not only about all of what you hear, it's also about bandwidth, right? And you have basically 6 different cables, terrestrial cables that come into Pakistan. One of them is, sort of almost obsolete. So that leaves 5. Meanwhile, you have internet growth in terms of utilization really shooting up. Demand for bandwidth is going up. No telecom is interested in investing in, in this sector for various reasons. There are no, you don't have any quality of service mechanism for any of the telecoms when they're down, right? 2 of these cables are owned by PTCL. One is owned by the SAFE group. There are others. I think, Lexon is also coming up with one. When these things are down, there is no, ek mahina band hogi ya 2 mahina band hogi. I think we have to realize that internet is now public utility, right? And it's the lifeline of businesses like ours, right? We have to start investing in that infrastructure and start building it and attract companies to come in and build the infrastructure so that will allow us to kind of get over the scale. So I think those are the 2 things. In terms of people development, I think Asif already touched upon some of these things. I think for our industry, there's less of a problem. We can, on our own, sort of generate, and it's actually quite interesting. Is वक्त the market has become so difficult. There is so limited opportunities that we can we open jobs and there's like we hire 1%. Imagine in BPO we are hiring at 1%. Last year I had 4,000 people, so I went through 400,000 people. Plus to just get that number. And people are, at 100,000 starting salary, people are leaving. I mean, there's not enough opportunities in sort of white collar starting job opportunities in banks and other places that people are sort of, so economic opportunities are, at least that side is working in our favor, right? But we can build the skills, in different ways. Remote learning is out there. But ये जो infrastructure के problems हैं, ये हमें solve करने पड़ेंगे. The biggest issue which we've had up till now, is clients, right? For us to be successful, we need large companies to establish their back offices here. India की अगर आप growth देखें, that's really what happened. 50 years, not 50, 30 years ago, you had British Airways, you had Citibank, you had all these companies that went and, set up back offices there. Then the local industry kind of started from there, right? Unfortunately, that has not happened, and I don't see that kind of, but if we can, through the SIFC or other channels, we must ask, large companies to come and look at Pakistan again and establish their back offices here as well. And that's how the industry will, when you have large players that will come and sort of set up, their back office centers, the industry will start to, to sort of grow. So I think that's where we are. I think infrastructure problems are, something that internet in particular, right? We should take this very, very seriously. Not only the perception issue, but the reality is, and really what happened, if you ask us, really what happened during these times, it was less of this, firewall. It was more one of the cables was down consistently for 4 months. So you had VPN issues and you had this at the same time, and then all of this. So all hell kind of broke loose at the same time. But it has impacted the lower, so you have the freelancing industry. Hum jaisi badi companies impact nahi hui, but those people are important as well. Pakistan is the 3rd or the 4th largest exporter of freelance services. And these people are using public internet. Un bicharo ko kya kasoor hai? So most of them are out of commission, and that will show up at some point in your exports. I mean, that $100 to $200 million will, and once, in the services business, it's about confidence. Once customers lose confidence in the geography, in the country, it will be very hard to convince these platforms to then, let the freelancers come back. So I think those are the issues that we have to take seriously if we want to see this industry kind of get to the levels that, that we want to. There is an opportunity. There is very much a chance that we can do so if we kind of solve these issues.
एक तो मेरी रिक्वेस्ट ये होगी कि आईटी वालों को ना मिलियंस नहीं यूज करना चाहिए, लफ्ज करना ही बिलियन चाहिए. इफ वी हैव टू एम हाई, हमें अपने मिलियन को बिलियन बनाना होगा. दिस इज द फर्स्ट पार्ट. I will give you a small example in terms of infrastructure export. So I come from Lahore and my whole childhood is from Lahore. तो लाहौर में वो इंडिया का चैनल अमृतसर का कैच होता था, एंड वी यूज्ड टू सी द इंडियन मूवी बैक इन द 80s जो वहाँ पे आया करती थी. और उस इंडियन मूवी की तकरीबन हर दूसरी मूवी में इंडिया का प्रेसिडेंट एक छोटी सी कार में आता था और उस कार का दरवाजा उल्टी तरफ से खुलता था. तो हम हमेशा ये कहते थे, यार देयर आर बिग BMWs एंड Mercedes, व्हाई द इंडियन प्रेसिडेंट इज कमिंग आउट ऑफ दिस स्मॉल कार. 30 years down the road, I realized they started that they will buy and make their own car, and their president will come on their own car in the 80s that we are talking about. I didn't realize what it meant at that point of time. But now, when I'm into the business, I realize they decided to do it at that point of time, which we are still struggling to do today. So just an example that I wanted to put. Asif, coming back to you. I worked in Middle East, and I remember when I was working in Middle East, I had the names of Tatas, Tech Mahindras. They are doing this business all across in Middle East. And I always thought, कोई ऐसी कंपनी आएगी पाकिस्तान की जो आगे बढ़कर ये काम पाकिस्तान में SI का काम करेगी. And then came systems. And then systems started coming out and doing business all across regions and everything. And a lot of credit going over to you as well. How can we make a big service delivery center for all the Middle East over here? You are there, you are on that path. What stops you to not do it in next 2 years?
No, I think as Nadeem's example, I will just build upon it. Like as you said, Middle East, like we started like Middle East operation roughly 8 to 10 years ago, and very small and humble beginning. Now we have thousands of people, 4,000 odd people just work for Middle East business, right? So what we have done, and I think we can scale, of course. I think we are, I would say, happy underperformer, right? So we have, what I mean is we have a lot of potential, a lot of opportunities. So we really need to keep going. And I think in Middle East, this challenge, the perception challenge is there, but it is not that big as we go to America and Europe, right? In Middle East, still, yes, these internet issues and things like that is there, but they are more on the listening path and more accommodative, and they are somehow, I would say that they understand Pakistan have these issues, but they always deliver. And in my 30 years of career, I have not seen or we have not lost a customer because there is an outage, or there is something that because of some infrastructure issue, we have not been able to deliver our services. So that has not happened, right? Only thing, as you said, Ministry of Perception or branding, I think we have such a negative persona in at least the West that nobody wants to certify our centers because they don't want to travel to Pakistan because of travel advisory, which I have been saying, unless and until in our business, in both us, if client visit us, right, their perception changes 360 degrees. They think Pakistan, they come up to Pakistan and land Pakistan with expectations, such a low expectation that they think there is nothing there. And when they come and see the robust infrastructure and they see our facilities, they see our data center, they see our connectivity, they meet with the people, they think, we visited India, we visited Sri Lanka, Vietnam, wherever, what's the difference? Why not Pakistan? And they never leave Pakistan once they visit and see us. So I think for the catalyst of the, this could be the catalyst, right? You need catalyst for, yeah. What I say that you can keep growing, but if you want to do exponential growth, what we are talking about billions, then you need to create a network effect. It's a spoke to spoke connection, right? When people talk to people, not like in our terminology, you understand hub to spoke and spoke to hub. We need to have spoke to spoke, which is a network effect where everyone talks about Pakistan as a great supply, great cost advantage. There's a great destination. We visited this and we didn't find anything like what we hear in the media and news. So unless and until we are able to create that network effect, how can we encourage people if their airlines, which airline directly goes to West, right? None, right? So how the India has built this infrastructure, they opened so much travel between these countries that people were freely coming. They had some entertainment in the country as well. They know what to do because in IT services, whichever business, export, and in our services business, they need to see our infrastructure. How would else they believe in it? They would be only listening to the media. There is no way to convince them. No matter what we do, Nadeem is saying that, of course, COVID has given that opportunity because nobody was doing it, right? So we all got an opportunity because no one was open. Pakistan government decided to have call center and IT industry as essential industry. It helped us. I think he can second me. It really immensely helped us, right? So with little government intervention, we all were able to grow. So until and unless we do that kind of an intervention, which becomes catalyst, where people want to come to our country and see us, and how do we encourage that? That's of course, that's where, as I said, like if government can play this catalyst role, which they have done in COVID time, which helped us, then you can say that there is a hope to have exponential growth because we are creating a network effect. Otherwise, companies like Systems and TRG on their own can keep doing it, but it will not develop the ecosystem. For exponential growth, as I keep saying, you need an ecosystem and network effect. Like Pakistan, how the textile industry grows in Pakistan, because say for export, because clients don't need to visit them. They just need to have their buying houses, they give the samples, they deliver the quality, they deliver the goods. So in services business, you need to touch and feel. How do we bring that touch and feel? While we talk about exponential growth, infrastructure, digital infrastructure is one challenge, which, as I said, business is not effective, but perception, nobody wants to come. And when they hear that there is a digital infrastructure and connectivity issue, that Pakistan cannot meet 99.99% SLA, while the truth is that we have been meeting. So how do we overcome this, right? So that's the real crux.
I see a very passionate Asif in the second round of the question, and rightfully so. Whenever we get somebody in Pakistan, and I drove him from the airport to Serena, and then going to the previous Monal for the dinner, and coming back, the whole angle of people seeing towards us changes because the expectation level, as you rightfully said, goes low. Asif, I have to come back to you on the skill question back again. I'm still not satisfied with the previous round of discussion because I still feel that we are in the services business. This services business is based on the skillful people that we can produce and either export or they can work from here. This skill development out there, I don't see government focusing to that extent, talking a lot, but a program that how this skill, first of all telling this skill is required, secondly how this skillful guy will come, and then industry telling we will utilize this skillful guy over here. This loop, where to start and how to end?
Yeah, let me explain you a little bit different way, okay? Like, as I said, like now, when we talk about 20 years ago or even 10 years ago, you need the degree graduates because the programming or development was difficult. You need to understand the machine language, and you need to understand C++ or these difficult languages, right? Now, the programming or as I said earlier as well, it's not low code, no code platform. You are managing SAP. They're coming up with the transformation tool. You don't need to be like, you don't need to have that kind of a deep skills. You can learn right now with the skills program, which can be what I was vocational training programs. That's what government is spending a lot of money. But in a provincial level, at federal level, at various institutes, I think it's a billions of rupees. But what our request is and what we have been saying as well, of course, we can provide input, we can provide teachers, we can provide mentorship, but execution of these institutes, collaboration is, of course, as I said, like if government has to be catalyst, has to play the catalyst role. So if they can make sure that we just don't focus on the degree, 4-year program, and come up with the out-of-box approach, because this is today's world need. We don't need four-year degree program anymore, because it used to be 100%. Yes, but time has changed. AI has transformed. AI has brought, like, if you don't know how to use ChatGPT and you don't have intelligent interrogation mechanism, then you can't do anything. Now the developers can learn a lot and can do and automate certain things using these tools and technologies. So first we have to enable them. So we have to create an enabling environment. So you keep asking about the government. That's what they need to do. They don't have to spend much. They just need to change their approach and allow more and more online and more tools that is available. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. I keep saying that there is so much content available, so much content available that I can't even express that we are not utilizing it. Right? So that is one. Now, skills, this is one part that you build the skills. But in our business, just building the skill will not do the justice, will not produce a talented resource. A skill will give you the knowledge to start and do something. Here, private sector and public sector, they need to digitize and they need to allow these local companies to do their digital transformation, to do their digitization, and give an opportunity to build within Pakistan, right? Because right now, like public sector, we have very limited work, you know that, right? Still, we are living in that paper world, and I would not say like 10 years, probably 20 years back what it used to be, right? So when the person gets some skill, where do it apply? If I train some person in a vocational training, say for example, for 6 months, will I be able to sell that to a large export customer for 6 months of experience? Will you buy it from me? No, never. But what Dubai and all these countries, like if you enter into Dubai airport, everything you see digitized. So they have spent tons of money on their internal digital transformation. Internal. So my humble request to all the private sector is that we have to look inwards. Are we digitally transform ourselves, and are we giving an opportunity to our local companies to, and don't asking these questions, where have you done this before? Where is your experience of 10 years? In PEPRA rules, you put a qualification criteria in public sector. You have done this similar project at 3 level, 3 countries. Who will give that, right? So if we don't have those local home ground cricket खेलते हैं तो पहले county भी नहीं बैंक की cricket खेलते हैं पता नहीं फिर वो PSL में आते हैं, then you come to the international player, right? So we have to provide that kind of a platform, and public sector spends enormous amount of money in employing the people because they don't use the technology. Once they start using the technology, they know that automation will bring the transparency, automation will bring the efficiency, automation will bring the productivity, and whatever we learn from this automation in domestic, we can take that solution to export to third world countries, even forget about America, right? So that will generate an export revenue as well, because that's the only way to do it. If you don't train your people in your home country, how would you export? There is no way somebody to us in UAE give me an opportunity to try and test. Like I give you an example, like K Electric, right, is our client right now in Pakistan. We are working with Saquib. Nobody has done in Pakistan this implementation because Karachi is the 5th largest city in the world. No one has done it, right? And if K Electric would have asked Asif, where have you done this before? I would have said, no, of course. Who will give me an opportunity for the first time? You have to trust me and give me an opportunity and I will deliver with Saquib. We will figure out a way and deliver it to you. So they have taken a faith and gave us this chance. Now we are talking to 3 other utility companies abroad. So because we learn from our home ground, and that's what you export. Export can't be generated and skill can't be translated into an execution. On-job training in IT is must. So if we say that our public sector is not going to digitize, they will never spend money on digital transformation. We talk about digital Pakistan, but automation is not happening because we love employing people and we judge our capability that how many people work for us. Then, and private sector also do the same thing, that they don't pay enough to IT companies to survive and they just try to squeeze everything. I'm telling very honestly, then nobody makes money and they can't grow because with profits you get the cash flow, and if you squeeze the hell out of everyone, the local player, then they can't make money, they can't export, right? So, and that's a very simple phenomenon, and that's why Pakistan export is not growing at the pace which we should be, because local companies don't make money. When they don't make money in the local projects, they can't export because they don't have cash flows, right? And local entrepreneurs, the big, large conglomerates, are not acquiring tens of IT companies as well to make them export-led, right? So there is a gap. So supply, yes, skill we need to train, but we need to create opportunities within the country before we say that we can just export, because nobody will come to you by just saying that we have trained 10,000 AI engineers in 6 months program, so give me the work. Give me the work from America, right? Why? What is in for you? What is in for them? And they can't travel and see even these 10,000 people, right? So we need to remove these barriers and the contention that what we have. So once you remove those contention, then I think things will improve, right? That's a real answer.
I will be going to the question answer session after the final question, Nadeem Saab, to you. But your discussion reminded me of my breakfast table discussion. So luckily I live in a joint family system. My mother is a PhD in biochemistry. मैं एक अनपढ़ आदमी, और then my son is doing graduation from Ivy League. And what he said to me on the other day on the table of a brand new breakfast was that, Papa, you know what is the problem with your generation? You guys think you know a lot and you know everything. And you are so happy on repeating the same thing again and again until you think because you have got success, your mantra is the best. And that's the problem that we are facing with your generation, because you guys don't have data. And whatever data you had was in your heads and you utilized that one. Said, come to our generation, we have a lot of data. We don't need to memorize anything. We just need to know the tools to get the best output that is required by the end customer or by us or by you. Change the mindset on that front and let us do this tool utilization instead of remembering what I have to remember. I was speechless over for the moment. I tried to explain about why we were successful, but your point about generational thing was absolutely on point. Nadeem sir, last question, because I see some people raising hands on the questions of what Asif was saying at, and I can understand that one from that angle. और मैं थोड़ा सा ये भी ज़रूर मानता हूँ कि बिजनेस में सबको बनाना होता है. कोई एक पार्टी भी नहीं बनाएगी वो बिजनेस सक्सेसफुल नहीं हो पाएगा. Nadeem sir, coming back to your last question over here. What is required, right? We have talked about infrastructure. We have talked about skillful people gap. We have talked about our neighboring country, how they are able to develop over the period of time over here. If you have to give 3 of your requests to the SIFC chairman today to get your business in 3 years to 5 times what we are today, what will be those 3 requests that you will make today?
Okay, so I think theme तो नहीं होगी request. I think मेरी simply एक ही request होगी कि जो underlying internet infrastructure है उसको ठीक कर ले, get as many telecom carriers and create build as much bandwidth as you can. So that will be the platform for IT companies to take off. Look, perception issues cannot be solved overnight, right? These companies will come. If we can encourage, as I said earlier, large companies to come in and set up unka apna hi fayda hai, right? I mean, you can, it's a win-win. So if you can encourage them to do that, and uske alawa, I mean, there's not much. I would not, as Asif said, ये जो है कि skills development programs, this is a hoax, right? ये फजूल है. This is a waste of money. You burn billions of rupees into कुछ भी नहीं होता इनमें से कोई भी. I don't think you ever hired anybody out of any of these, neither have we, right? This is a waste of money. The IT sector can train people themselves if you have the basic skill sets. Focus on education, focus on fixing the education system, and leave the rest for the industry. We will retrain people if we have enough work. We'll retrain people based on our own needs. So I think that would be it. There's not a lot we need, right? There is not a lot we need. All we say कि अपने सर पे just don't पैर पे क्या कहते हैं कुल्हाड़ी मारना बंद कर दें. Just do not sort of, and we outside in our network, we should promote Pakistan as much as we can. The Pakistani diaspora, unfortunately, like the Indian diaspora, is very, very negative on their own country. The Indians are not. For whatever, and this has been the case for years, right? Zilaf, you've lived in the US for many years. I have, and you visit, and the Pakistani diaspora is, all these conversations are about what's bad in Pakistan. And the Indians you will never hear, especially, when there are other people present. So I think thoda sa mindset bhi change karna hoga. Look, at the end of the day, we owe it to this generation, right? I talk to these young people. Our average employee age is 25. So ye bache, they're fresh out of school. They're hardworking, right? We have operations in multiple geographies. We compete with people, as Asif said. We have operations in the Philippines. We're in the Caribbean. We're in South America, and we see the talent. Our talent is as good as anybody, right? ये जो हम कहते हैं कि नहीं, skilled people they want to do well. They want to, grow. They're intelligent. We just have to give them the means to do so. We have to create the employment opportunities, give them the exposure. And that exposure, in the 80s came from the large MNCs where we trained people. And now it can come from the services sector. So we owe it to our people to sort of build that positive image. The media as well, let's not kind of blow, blow only negative news out. And these things matter. These things matter a lot to the outside investor. That's the first thing they do. Before they get on that plane, they will Google what's happened in Pakistan, right? And it will be on their ticket laga dete hain, right? And anything that happens, their families are looking at it, their wives are looking at it. So I think those are the things that are soft areas that we need to work on. The industry is very competent. The people we have are very competent. There are large companies that exist. We don't need capital. We can build. We can grow on our own. What we need is sort of that enabling infrastructure and sort of that environment that sort of we have to get out a little bit of that negativity, right? So I think that would be my.
I totally agree with you. Maybe in the next time we will have one person from the government sector on the panel as well, because I feel this panel will not be complete without their inputs. I will. Just 2 years back, I got a big grant from SAP to have the free training of around 3,000 people in the public sector. So I was very happy because Indian managing director was trying to get it, Philippine managing director was trying to get it. So it took me a lot of effort to get that grant for Pakistan. It took me 6 months into 3 different ministries, and nobody was ready to sign it because they don't want to do it, the risk of doing it with a multinational company, because they will say some advantage will come up. Whatever you say, I have to give that grant of 6 months back, and some other country used it over there. And it was different ministries. These are the things when we come to, we bring something, we want that facilitation out over there, how we can, to make the processes easy so that we can utilize it. Because the multinational companies, they have a lot of money. They are ready to spend. We just need to fight it to get it for our countries. Our roles in managing director positions of multinationals are both ways. They want us to give the business from Pakistan to them, And what we want from them is what they are investing and spending on the different ways all across the world, we get them it for Pakistan as well. So that's on both sides.
And I
So-
think I would like to add one thing more. There is a culture, right? Cultural problem exists because, again, of the perception of the brand. Because it's an export business. It's a services export, right? And due to whatever reason, we know that, obvious reasons, people don't bring the money to Pakistan, right? Because they signed a contract to their subsidiaries abroad, and then most of them are not listed companies like us. They don't have to disclose everything, what they don't need to, right? They sign a contract, they get the money, they pay it in dollar, they get the money, and they just send cost here, right? So we have never realized the true export numbers in our remittances in a state bank, right? Never. And this is a cultural challenge because what people feel, like small even freelancers and smaller companies, they feel that if they bring it here, they will not be able to get it out if they need to expand, right? And what you rightly said, if they want to get it out, they have to go through the lot of channels to get out that their own hard-earned dollars. Yes, State Bank has recently relaxed that regulation, but unfortunately, we have not marketed enough, or even if marketed enough, people still don't have trust. I think we have, unfortunately, the trust deficit or trust gap in a lot of small to mid-sized companies, and unfortunately, we only have a lot of small to mid-sized companies in IT, like with the systems and IBEX or TRG and few others, handful of companies. The remaining are small to mid-sized companies. That's what the scale is, true scale. So I think that's I think PVC role. I think that's what we need to build, that trust. And if we don't build that, then of course the exports are increasing, definitely increasing, because we feel that if I am looking for 100 developers and it takes me time to recruit 100 developers, what does it mean? There is a demand, right? There is a supply shortage. People are working, and Pakistan is not digitizing, so it means they are working on exports, largely, assumption, right? Unfortunately, we don't have such, again, a lot of data to support that, but a lot of people are not bringing it, right? And I'm sure the other exports businesses, the case is, but in a services business, it's a more of a case because you don't have a physical product that you need to bring it back. Otherwise, you are traced and may face a penalty. In services business, not such cases. So how do we change that culture and bring the trust? I think unless and until we fix those and we have those aims of growth will happen. Saquib, growth will happen. 100%. I'm bullish about it. I'm optimistic about it. What you and I are talking about is exponential growth. Right now, Pakistan needs an exponential growth, not just a growth, in every export business. And that's what we need to think out of the box.
Thank you very much. I will open the house for questions. Rizwan sir, you have that.
So, Saquib offered me a goodie bag of SAP products for me to stick around, but I'm glad there's no need for that. I really enjoyed the conversation. Very quickly, AI normally when we say it's artificial intelligence, but it's also called assisted intelligence. So how would AI impact your business as an opportunity as well as a threat?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Evolving and increasing and changing.
I think I would say AI, first I will answer that as an opportunity, okay? Opportunity is immense, okay? When I talk about opportunity, it's immense. Why? In our industry, and every industry it's immense, okay? First I will explain our industry and I'll just touch upon what you can utilize AI in a better way. Because all of you and all other global organization, everyone wants to do something with AI because that's their KPI now. because now it's a fear, it's a threat in every industry. If you don't use AI, CIO will get fired. Everyone wants to pivot. So fear is there. So now AI adoption is happening through fear, right? This is must. Like otherwise, CIO will not, if he doesn't talk about AI and if he doesn't do anything, he will not be relevant in his organization, he will be fired, most likely. So what it creates an opportunity for us, organizations are not ready to have true AI. As you rightly use the word, we call assistant, like there are three levels of AI: assistant, advisor, and agent, agentic AI. So this assistant you can implement in like just any day. But for a true AI transformation, you need strong data behind it, data engineering. And organizations don't have that. Organizations don't have the infrastructure for AI as well. It requires a different kind of infrastructure in cloud, the GPUs and everything. So it generates a lot of demand for us to fix the basics first so you can leverage the AI. How would you leverage the AI if you don't have the data? Yeah, I can implement this assisted AI in heartbeat, but that's not going to give you the desired outcome. So this is an immense opportunity. How it can become a threat? Now, it will become a threat if I ignore. If I say that it's okay, nothing is going to happen, and we don't pivot and train our people to be better productive. Because as Saquib said, how to leverage the tools that is available to increase the productivity and efficiency for developers, and how do we think about the use cases in each and every industry, and we become a consultative seller. We tell you, this is how you are going to use AI. And this is how you are going to save money. Because business person only understand one language. Will you be able to decrease my cost or not? Through tech, AI and technology. If you are showing me 30%, 20% savings, show me, right? And everybody will listen, right? Or if you are super genius, you will say that I have an idea, I will come up with a way that it will increase your revenue as well. You will still interested in listening because you're thinking that they are going to disrupt my model. It will optimize my supply chain and it open my new opportunity for me, right? So it's a mindset shift. So both sides, technology companies it's not going to, AI is not going to displace us. It will definitely enhance the growth for a few years. But if we don't change internally, then of course it's 110% threat. We will become obsolete and somebody will take over. But that's, as a leader, our responsibility is to pivot and provide those kind of leadership in the organization where everyone is training. And for organization like, and Pakistan and everyone needs to think that how am I able to save the money through technology? How can I build my Mickey Mouse or competitive advantage in my own business, which is irreplaceable? How can I disrupt? How can I come up with more innovative ideas through technology? And unless and until we push those buttons, we will remain on subsidies for sure. And we will still rely on subsidies and think about subsidies all the time.
So I just want to add one more Rizwan Sab on this point. AI is all about use cases. How the multinational companies are working, they are getting use cases of AI in one part of the world and then shifting it available for all other customers all across the world as well. It's about specific use cases in the respective domains. I think what we need at PBC can be one of the forums, I did it at the SAP level over here, is about sharing of the good use cases in Pakistan with all the people. I think we are missing that portion over here. When there is a success story or when there is a good, people are not so commonly sharing about it, sometimes intentionally, sometimes non-intentionally as well. So I think in order to make AI success for Pakistan, I think we need to share the use cases that we are using at every level, HR, procurement, supply chain, and share it so that people can adopt and use it. The good part of AI is from the time you think and from the time you get it implemented, the time is very fast. So you can get it done like this. So you can see the results very fast. So I think I totally agree with Asif, it's an opportunity. It's absolutely an opportunity. Any other question? Ji sir, at the end. I'll come to you after that, ma'am.
Yeah, I think this is the last session, and I would like to ask, a very simple question. The question is, as Bishop said, asking the right question. So prompt engineering is something that is not taught in Pakistan. And if you want to train your team to ask the right questions, how can I do that, number one? Number two, what is the situation between AI of China versus US? And where should we lean? Should we lean towards China? Should we lean towards US? Because both of them are AI engines. I don't know which one is going to be the future for us. Thank you.
Before any one of you can answer, but this has been a dilemma of our lives. We don't know which should go to China or should go to US. So
That is generic. Do you want to answer?
Yeah.
So I think, what the Chinese have done very smartly is वो कहते हैं ना, necessity is the mother of invention. So they did not have, the US blocked access to chips, and so they used, the limited capacity to create. I think you do understand that it's going to be a bipolarized world, right? So you cannot rely on one technology or the other. The Chinese technology certainly will give you a lot of, as he said, infrastructure cost. You don't need as much processing power to do the same amount of tasks as you would with with an open, with a chat GPT, etc. So I think the Chinese technology will provide Pakistani companies a low cost model to sort of scale up the version. So I think it would be both, but keep in mind that once you start working with companies in the West, there will be a block. So you have to kind of train yourself on both sides, on both sides of the equation.
if you notice in the last 2 days, Nvidia stocks has gone down 539 billion.
Yeah.
They don't know even what hit them. Yeah. And think over how this whole thing has changed. And they were doing their part for the past 2 years and hit them. And this is how the disruption of IT is going to impact all across. And this is not going to end over here. These disruptions are continuously going to come, and we need to best take advantage of that one over here. In the last 2 days, what I have read, and I also came to know only 2 days back, is it's all about low cost, more efficiency, and very fast track that DeepSeek is right now providing, but it's very less time to judge and make a judgment on that one. Madam, you wanted to ask a question. Yeah. Can we have the mic in front, please?
I think Shabir Saab is saying last question.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Okay.
My question is directed towards the whole of the panel, and question is, can you please devise a well thought out and legalized mechanism for the preparation of IT skilled, demand driven, exportable product out of our youth, and get them or their services employed across the globe?
Yeah, we can definitely come up with that, and we have came up with multiple times, and we have given multiple times a plan, and we are doing it on our own whatever we can as well as part of this equation, because I always feel, as Nadeem was saying, that it's our responsibility to give back and do whatever we can for our youth, and this is our responsibility to give it back to create an impact, right? So we are doing our part, and we have very well thought out plan as well for the industry. Its power is in execution, right? So it all boils down to execution and effective execution. That's yeah, plan we can't give. It's a plan. It's very hard to articulate in 5 seconds that what we can do, but it's a very well documented plan which industry has shared multiple times with the government. And as I'm saying that we should not bring the government into the mix. We have our own responsibility, which I think we are doing as a large organization, and this is what we keep requesting the industry as well, that we have to train more and more, and as many as we can, and as many as trainer we can produce and give back, we have to, right? This is the only way that when everyone works, ecosystem gets created.
Sir, first of all, I won't take much longer. My name is Imran Janjua. I'm an international consultant for youth and sports development. My background, I have some former colleagues sitting here. I met you a long time back, Asif sir, at Dubai. So right across us, there's a Commonwealth Youth Conference going on. So as we speak of youth, as we speak of artificial intelligence, my humble assertion is pretty clear because now every day it's going to be Mr. Donald Trump and Elon Musk versus the Chinese thing that is coming up. Somebody mentioned here that yes, we need to see that China ने भी जो चीज़ की है वो it's a one-off, and what is the way? Sir, artificial intelligence is artificial. The name resounds very well. I'll give you quick facts and then I'll leave. 4 million children enter our working age. We need 1 million jobs annually. 35% of our youth, 35% of our youth, in which majority is young women. They are in deplorable conditions when it comes to their working. 80% of our youth are quitting education. We lie among 191 or 182 or 186 countries. We are in the last, not just the last year, सिर्फ 15 ममालिक हैं जो हमसे ज़्यादा एजुकेशन पे जीडीपी vis-a-vis जीडीपी सर्व करते हैं. Sir, we need to be intelligent. We need to work on this youth bulge. We have to convert them into the dividend. The world is saying that we are seeing Pakistan only this, कि whether they'll get richer first or older first. Thank you.
Thank you.
No, you rightly said. So I think this is what we all need to do. Yeah, your point is well taken.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for the panel, and thank you very much for the lively.